International Fake Journal Month this year, my fake journal was different from past years. First, it was made in February and March, instead of April. Second, the character who created the journal was only a sidestep away from myself. Here's what happens. Every year, I pick an image and a slogan for the celebration, and that serves as a mini poster for the blog for that year. I used to make buttons, but the celebration is too big now, so I don't make buttons. This year, I wanted to celebrate being able to get back to painting after a shoulder injury. So I selected a gouache image that I had painted of a young boy, and I had modeled it on a photograph that I had found at an estate sale. I saw the use of this image as an intention of where I wanted to go, of my need and desire to get back to painting. I knew I wanted to do a small painting every day throughout International Fake Journal Month. I thought considered truths an appropriate tagline for the year because we all have these in our lives, both our real lives and our fake lives. It's healthy to explore them from different perspectives. Then in February, I was asked to participate in the MCBA Visual Journal Collective's 30-Day Drawing Challenge. I'm no longer the coordinator for the group, but I like to attend and to stay in touch with everyone, and I wanted to participate. I selected a 6x6-inch wire-bound journal containing gray Stonehenge paper so that I could paint with gouache or use any media I was drawn to. Participants were given a list of topics, and I remember looking at that list and feeling immediately constrained. I have always felt a deep dislike, aversion, and even distrust of prompts. It goes against everything that I tell my students. I encourage them to look around in their daily lives and whatever catches their interest to consider that worthy to get down, to draw, and get down into their journal. So I had a real problem with working from a prompt list. I realized that what I was looking at was a considered truth in my own life. I wondered what it would be like to explore this considered truth in my own journal over the course of the month, and I realized I'd been given this opportunity. I decided to step very slightly to my side and to see what someone who keeps a prompt journal, maybe not willingly, would come up with. After I completed the first entry, I saw in my post to Facebook, which was where we were supposed to load the images so that everyone in the group could view them, I saw in that first image and my comments to it that I was grumbling, making excuses, and making explanations as to why I made the choices I did in creating that image. That's something I never do in my regular journal. It wasn't me. It was very obvious to me because of this that I already had this alternate Roz behaving in a way that I wouldn't be behaving. And that's when I mentally labeled this my fake journal, and I had my aha moment, and I embraced her grumbly attitude. I don't do this explaining in my regular journal, but for this project, each day, she would whine and complain or grouse about something, and those comments would go up on Facebook with the image, and then I would put a printout of those comments on the opposite page from my painting in the fake journal. One of the reasons I don't do this complaining is because it's important for me in my journal to be outwardly focused. I carry my journal with me all day long. I stop and draw many times during the day. What I found in doing this prompt journal, or doing a journal while I was doing prompts, was that my production immediately plummeted. I found that the alternate Roz would sometimes go half a day without drawing, saving her eyes for that one prompt item that she was going to put in her journal. And this is just not how I keep a journal. What developed was a journal in which everything was considered. I was, in fact, miserable. I've done fake journals where I've been crazy, where I've been hectic, frantic. I've done fake journals when everything is chaotic in my life, but I've never been miserable. And when I made this journal, I was miserable. I probably felt like all the people I usually boss around feel. One of the reasons I was feeling miserable was that I was annoyed that my journal was being created to share, specifically to share with someone. My real journals are created just for me. As a teacher, many pages from my journals have been shared publicly either on my blog or in my classes, but that isn't why they were created. And for this prompt journal, the pages were created to be shared. If I'd had any doubts, and I didn't, that my journal was just for me, this would have removed them. I did enjoy one aspect of the project. I enjoyed seeing what other people in the project got from working with the same prompt. I find it interesting to see what creative minds do when faced either with the same constraints, guidelines, or source material, or limits. I find that very interesting. The sharing was quite fun, in fact. I found myself eager to turn Facebook on and see who had posted already during the day and what they had discovered when working with a particular prompt that I was working with. I was going to show you the journal now, and I was going to read the pieces that I wrote for Facebook. But when I started to do the voiceover, which was difficult and delayed because I had bronchitis earlier this year, I found that it was unsettling to hear myself read those pieces that were written by a me that was not me for my fake journal. I don't find that I can change and alter my voice into another register or another way that just doesn't sound like me. So it was difficult for me to read those out and hear them. Instead, what I've done is I've placed the text in the video, and it's followed by the image it appeared next to. And if you want to read that text, you can stop the video and read it. There is one page in the fake journal where I actually responded to the prompt in my actual voice as me. I found that it was not something, because the prompt asked a question that was so important to my life, I didn't feel that I could create a fake response to it. So I answered it in my own voice. Even though it was uncomfortable to share Day 9, Draw Your Internal Critic, within the context of a fake journal, and be that honest, I felt it was essential to be truthful with friends and students. You can scroll through the text of Day 9 when you get to that point and read it on the screen, or you can go to my blog, rozwoundup.typepad.com, and you can go to the category list, find Internal Critic, and click on it, and you can read my blog post for Monday, June 8th, 2015, in which I place the whole text of that piece. Here now is a flip through of my 2015 fake journal, and like me, my character also had bronchitis. After every fake journal, I always ask myself, what worked, what didn't work, and what did I learn about myself and my process? I think the biggest thing that I learned this year while doing my fake journal is that if I'm left alone and work in my journal, I'm productive, I'm aware of my process, I notice my surroundings, I'm involved with my work, and I'm much less of a shit. I also learned that while I still do not care for prompts, prompts may be very useful to some people, and they'll be useful to people in individual ways. Before I condemn or merely dismiss something, I have to consider it more deeply. And that's the serendipity of this project this year, that I had to consider the various truths. Will I ever do another prompt-based project? For me, I know I'll always be on guard against any project that limits my productivity. I also know that I'll never again take on a fake journal character who is so close to my real character. The nuanced line between the two is too subtle, and yet when I look at the project, it's too glaringly obvious. It makes my head want to explode. I would like to close with the following advice. If you like working with prompts and they help you develop or maintain your practice, continue to use them. If they distract you, let them go. As a child, books were my prompts. From Gerald Durrell, I learned my love of animals. From Charles Dickens, I learned to be an engaged observer and to work my observations into my journals. I also discovered my lifelong passions through the books that I read. Do whatever it takes to protect your practice and choose process over perfectionism, because in the mess of process, you will discover your authentic creativity, something that only you can bring into the world.